Okay, welcome everybody to today's session of Junior Achievement of New Jersey's Women's Future Leadership Academy, our second to last session of the year. Again, I echo our student sentiments. We are bummed that it's coming to a close, but really happy that it happened. And we are glad that you have joined us today for our session. It's going to be a good one. And we've got some great volunteers and some great students who are joining us live. But before we begin, we just wanted to say thanks to our sponsors, ADP, the Deloitte Foundation, the MetLife Foundation, Sanofi, AIG, Church & Dwight, CNBC, Carney Bank, New Jersey Resources, CDW, Crow, EY, Fidelity, Wells Fargo, Merck, Prudential, PSE&G, and Valley Bank. We thank you all for your partnership. And of course, we thank all of our volunteers who are joining us today from the companies that they are representing. First, before we begin, just a reminder for those of you who have joined or are watching us later, we do have some in-person programs scheduled for this June, and you are welcome to participate as a student and as a volunteer. On June 4th and June 28th, we have our Women's Future Leadership Forums right here at our Education Center in Edison. And on June 11th, we have a special leadership workshop for all students. These programs are free and open to anybody. If you'd like to register, just simply go on our website, janjacademy.org, or you can email me for more information. My email is cbedron@ja.org. You see my email address right down there at the end. So if you'd like to join us, or if you'd like to volunteer, or if you'd like to volunteer and bring a student of your own, you are welcome to. We would love to see you. Please visit our website for additional details. So today's agenda, we've got a packed agenda today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about polished presentations. We're going to share some expert advice from our volunteers if you'd like to share your own advice. And then we're going to go into some breakout sessions with our students and our volunteers. But first, let's have a little conversation here. Let's talk about your own feelings about giving a speech or presentation. And you're welcome to share your thoughts here in the chat room. How do you feel when you think about giving a speech or a presentation? How does that make you feel? You can go ahead and share your thoughts in the chat room if you'd like. So when you think about it, and I see some information there in the chat room. When you think about giving a speech or presentation, a lot of us feel kind of nervous. A lot of us have speaking anxiety. It holds a lot of us back from applying for jobs or promotions, speaking up in classes or conferences, sharing expertise in meetings, and much more. But if you learn how to tame your fear of public speaking, and a lot of us have that, it will allow you to take full advantage of opportunities to advance your career. There are 4 physical things you can do to lower your adrenaline. First, you can take up space by counteracting the tendency to get smaller under pressure and get bigger instead. Taking on a strong, high-status posture increases your testosterone, which is a power hormone, and decreases cortisol, your stress hormone. So again, by taking up space, that can help you lower your adrenaline. Another thing you can do to lower your adrenaline is to focus your eyes. When adrenaline hits, your eyes may start to dart to the periphery in search of a viable escape route. If you keep your eyes on the horizon with your nose and eyes pointing in the same direction, that can help you. So focus your eyes. Another thing you can do to lower your adrenaline and help you become a better speaker is to breathe. When that fight or flight response hits, your abdominal muscles tighten to protect your vital organs. As a result, your breath becomes more rapid and shallow. If you consciously release your abdominal muscles and take long, slow inhalations, that will help you. And then finally, take your time. The easiest way to take control of time is to pause. Not only will it help you feel more relaxed, but also research shows that people who pause are received as better prepared, more comfortable, and easier to understand. Sometimes it's hard to take our time and pause, but it really does help you lower your adrenaline and help you become a better and more relaxed public speaker. So let's talk about why presentation skills are important. There is a strong link between public speaking and leadership. Leadership requires effective communication, and speaking confidently in public is a key part of that. Improving your public speaking skills will help you sell better, inspire people, and boost your career. There are many types of business presentations. So when you're in the workplace or a college student, you may encounter some of these types of business presentations. And I invite all of our volunteers, if you have given this type of presentation, or if there is another type of business presentation that you've had to do in your work, please feel free to share that in the chat room. Some types of business presentations that you may have to do include a sales or investor pitch, an elevator pitch or a job interview, a keynote presentation, either in a small or a large group, a webinar or seminar that's given to share information, a training presentation, which may be given to entry-level employees, or a report to your team or your organization's leadership. So again, volunteers, if you've had to encounter any of these types of presentations, or if there's something here that I've missed, please feel free to post that in the chat room. Excellent. I see some great things here in the chat room already. Thank you so much for participating. So here are some 3 P's for effective presentation. So if you're delivering a presentation, a business presentation like one of the ones we just mentioned, or something different, there are some, it's very important to organize your thoughts and organize your presentations. So these are the 3 P's for effective presentations. Number 1 is purpose. Define exactly what you are trying to accomplish in the presentation. What is the purpose? What are you trying to achieve? For example, your purpose might be to share sales information and a new sales contest with staff to encourage them to increase sales. The next P is profile, creating a profile of your audience. Questions to ask are, who is your audience? What do they already know or believe? How can you address these people in a way they understand and relate to? For example, if you're addressing your sales staff, you know that they are motivated by competition and they like to be rewarded for their work. You also know that they are friendly and good with people. You might decide to address them by comparing their performance to that of a competitor, by speaking to them in a casual or friendly manner, or by offering cash incentives for improvement. And then finally, the last P is plan. Questions to ask. This is thinking about the content and information that you need to include to achieve your purpose. For example, what does your audience need? What is the key message? And what points can I make to support it? For example, in your presentation to the sales staff, you'll need some data about sales performance, details about the contest you're introducing, and information about how improved sales can benefit them and the company. Here is a way to organize your presentations. And this sounds pretty basic, but again, it's important to remember when you organize your presentation. You have to start with the beginning, and usually that includes a hook to grab your audience's attention and the key message. So starting off with a hook, an interesting way to grab attention. Then the middle of your presentation has information that supports the message delivered in the beginning. And then finally, the end wraps it all up. You can include the main point of the message and follow up with next steps if there are next steps. So make sure to organize your presentation with that beginning and the hook, the middle with information that supports your overall idea, and then finally the end when you wrap it all up and deliver next steps. Okay, now here are some tips to become a better speaker. First, know the content in your presentation. Really important. Make sure that you are familiar with what you're going to say. You can have some notes to go over at the beginning and be familiar with your content. Oops. Next one, appear authentic means genuine and interested during the presentation. So this is all really tied into knowing the content. Appearing authentic, genuine, and interested will really make you become a better speaker and make your audience identify with you better. Make eye contact with your audience. Sometimes you need to have notes, it's important, but you want to make sure that you don't rely on your notes too much. You want to make sure that you are engaged with your audience and make eye contact with them. Next, keep your hands by your side or use them to gesture to the audience. Sometimes that's hard to remember, but use your hands in an effective way. You want to make sure that you're not crossing your hands in front of you or clasping them behind you or holding on to the sides of the podium. A lot of people do that. You want to make sure that your hands are relaxed by your side or used to gesture to the audience. And then finally, avoid using filler words during your presentation. Filler words are words like or like, we are all guilty of that. We all do that somehow. This goes back to what I mentioned earlier about taking a pause. If you need to take a break, it's okay to pause. You want to make sure that you don't use those filler words in between what you're saying. It's better just to use a pause if you need a break. All right, at this time, I would like to open it up to any of our volunteers or Oriana, if you'd like to share any of your advice as well. If you have your own advice on tips for becoming a better speaker, or if you have an experience, a work-related experience, where maybe you had to deliver a presentation, what you learned from it, any strategies that you have, we'd love to hear from you, from our volunteers. So volunteers or Oriana, if you'd like to share your own experiences, we'd like to take a few minutes to open up the floor. Please go ahead and either raise your hand or unmute yourself. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you. I will put my video on so everyone can see me.
Great, thank you.
You can see me now?
Yep, we see you. Hi, Jennifer.
Can't see myself, but that's okay.
No, you look great.
I actually, I have some great things to share, I hope. In my prior role before I was at MetLife, I currently work at MetLife. I am 30. I'm a director for operational risk management here, and I do quite a lot of public speaking, if you will. And in my prior role, I was actually part of a program called Toastmasters. Not sure if any of you have heard of it. If you haven't, it's a great program. Some companies have it. Some schools also have it. Essentially, it is a public speaking program to help to teach you how to improve. And there's multiple ways that you do that. There's meetings where you have kind of table topics. Somebody will bring up a topic and you have 2 minutes on the spot to come up with something. And you do this in front of the people that you work with or whoever's in the club. Or you prepare speeches. Speeches are on a number of different things. You can also compete. Again, it doesn't have to be competitive. It doesn't have to be serious, but it can be really, really helpful. And it helped me actually grow a lot in public speaking, in confidence. It's really hard, I think, for most people to speak in public, not just in public, whether it's a presentation for class, a presentation for work, even in interviews. But one of the things that I've learned over time is self-confidence is incredibly important. And especially when you're interviewing or speaking about yourself, you have to believe in yourself and you have to be confident in what you're saying, right? If you don't believe what you're saying, nobody else will. And that goes for what you're presenting as well. So putting forward a good product of your work and feeling confident about it, if you have if you're not confident, having people check it beforehand, having notes when it comes to presentations, anything that helps you to kind of keep that confidence and remain strong. And also not being afraid if you mess up. I've messed up a few times as speaking to you all just now. And one of the biggest things is to keep going. We all say, like, so filler words are really common, and it happens. It's kind of part of our speech. But I think I'll take any questions at some point if we break out, but those are my biggest words of advice, and I hope they're helpful. That's it.
That was very helpful, Jennifer, and thank you so much for sharing. And it's true, we all use those filler words. It's hard not to. I use them all the time, and I've been doing this every week for a year, and I still get tripped up. So it's okay if it doesn't have to be perfect. The main thing, and like you said, Jennifer, is being authentic and being real, and knowing your audience. That's really great. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I see Holly, you've got your hand up, and then we'll hear from Holly, and then we'll hear from Nika. Welcome, Holly.
Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me, and I turned my camera on here. So yeah, I mean, Jennifer, I thought that was fantastic advice. And I'm so excited, guys, that we get to share our experiences with you. I have been in the industry of construction and building materials now for 23 years. And I would say that I do a lot of presentations to mostly men in the insulation and acoustical drywall space. So not the most exciting topics, but if you use your speaking skills and your techniques of confidence, like Jennifer mentioned, it goes a long way. The energy that you bring to a presentation goes a long way, especially when you're talking about things that are less exciting than other topics. And the advice I would say is we all have little quirks and habits when we're speaking. And if you can record yourself either with your phone or even taking a mirror and speak and really look at yourself, you'll be your hardest critic, and you'll be able to take away some of those bad habits prior to the presentation. Another tip that I've learned over the years is definitely know what you're speaking about, like Jennifer had mentioned also, but engage your customer in some easily answered questions. They can all kind of get that glazed over look. You think they're not engaged, you start to panic. But if you interject a small question, some that you would have prepared prior to speaking and that you know can be easily answered, I think you'll get buy-in. You want to do the pause that Christy had mentioned before, give them a chance to think about what they want to say, and then move forward in your presentation after those questions have been answered.
Great. That's great advice. Thank you, Holly. And thank you for sharing your experience. As a woman leader and speaking to majority male audience, I know that's challenging, and we appreciate your feedback and your thoughts. Let's see, who was next? Nika, I think you had your hand up. Nika?
Yes, I did.
Welcome.
Thank you. Jennifer and Holly made excellent points. I'm just gonna add on to what they've already shared. One thing about presenting is adding your personality and presenting yourself. When Jennifer was talking about confidence, that's where it's key at. So if you're quirky, it's okay to be quirky in your presentations. If you want to slide a joke here or there to make it more presentable, you can definitely do that. Sometimes I may add a personal experience if I'm doing like a training presentation or a sales pitch, so it can be more relatable to who I'm speaking with. A lot of times when I'm presenting, I have a PowerPoint, and Christy did a really great job as far as demonstrating that you don't read the PowerPoint verbatim. You summarize it, you highlight what's on the PowerPoint, make it more of a conversation instead of a manual that you're reading to your audience.
Right. Great tips, Nika. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And you look so professional with your headset on. It looks fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lena, welcome, Lena. I see your hand up.
Yes. Hello. Let me turn on my video. Hi, everyone. Oops, little glare back there. Sorry about that. Everyone made excellent points. And just over the years of having done a lot of presentations, I think that it's really important to know that you might not have the answer to everything. You think you were prepared, you had all your notes, you had your speaking points, you know, an executive will come at you with a question that you weren't anticipating, and that's okay. You don't have to get nervous. you could reply and say, that's a great point, and maybe engage some of your team that may know the answer to that are with you in the presentation, or just say, we'll get back to you on that. And another thing is also, no matter how much you prepare your presentation, I've been in meetings where you did high level, you did a great summary, and as the executive is looking out, he throws it in the garbage can. So don't let it hurt your feelings. You kind of, presented what you wanted to present, and you did a great job, and maybe, you did everything right, and that's okay. Don't take things personally. It's a presentation, and I think that's really important to keep in mind also.
Excellent. Great advice, Lena. Thank you so much for sharing. Great advice from all of our volunteers. Oriana, I know that you've joined us. I think you're still in the session.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hey, Oriana. So Oriana is our intern from Princeton University and is now embarking on all kinds of great summer opportunities. So I know you're a fantastic speaker, Oriana. Anything that you'd like to share with our students and volunteers before we go into our breakouts?
Yes, of course. One thing that I definitely noticed speaking with all these presentations in the past with JA, which is being able to really slow down. That's something that I definitely need to continue working on, but taking that time to enunciate and is really trying to slow down just so you can enunciate, but also so you can think out what you have to say. Another thing that I think is really important is knowing your audience, is really emphasizing that, because you're able to change what you have to say just so you can appease like a younger crowd, like if you're mentoring or if you're presenting in front of like a boss, just you're able to make sure you use appropriate vocabulary, things of that matter. And another thing that I will lastly say, as you mentioned, is practice over and over again. So you're able to like see your facial expressions, see your hands, make sure you're not stiff, really build up that confidence that you need to be able to speak in front of a crowd. Because as you mentioned before, and everyone else was kind of saying, it's natural to be nervous when you're speaking in front of people. It's really important just to get used to it so you're able to improve over time. And that's all I would have to say. Thank you.
Wonderful as always advice, Oriana. Thank you so much for sharing. That's fantastic. And again, we're going to go into our breakouts in just a moment. And all of our students, you're going to have an opportunity to practice your presentation skills as a group when we return from our breakouts. And I know we've got some great volunteers who are going to coach you through this experience. So this is what's going to happen. We're going to go into some breakout rooms. I put everybody in rooms already with students and volunteers. And this is your prompt. Here we go. So you are opening up an ice cream shop in town. That's what your group is doing. So we're going to work together in your small groups to prepare a 2-minute or so. It can be 1 minute, it could be a little over 2 minutes, but a very brief presentation to persuade investors to invest $1,000 in your new business, your awesome ice cream shop. So together you're going to practice putting together a presentation and delivering your presentation, kind of following the things that we just talked about, that we heard from the volunteers and from the slides. And then after we get back, you'll be invited to give your presentation to the full group when the breakout sessions have ended. So again, you're going to work together to prepare a 2-minute presentation to persuade investors to invest in $1,000 in your ice cream shop. Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we open up the breakout rooms? All right, so we have about, let's see, about 10 minutes. We're going to come back at just before 5:40 to share presentations. So we've got 4 rooms. Our rooms are small. It looks like we have a student and maybe a couple volunteers in every room. And we will see you back here just before 5:40. So just follow the prompt on your screen. That will get you to your breakout rooms. And just a reminder, we are not recording the breakout rooms.